forgot to clap. Hey, welcome to our first ever game review. Jackery Jinsoon just picked up The Last of Us, and he wants to let everybody know that he likes it, maybe. I don't know. I haven't found out yet, which is why we're going to do this. This is going to be his first impressions.
My first big impression, because I played about 60-70% of the game.
60-70% of the game already. That means he's been playing all day.
Mm-hmm.
All day.
All day, pretty much.
First day it's out, played all day. Anyway, so I guess, what are your first impressions?
Well, I was super stoked to play this game. It's pretty much been it's my game of the year as far as my excitement level, because I've been wanting it since 1-2 years ago when they released first stuff for it.
Yeah.
And I was like, mine. I need that. That's gonna be mine. And it's it's by Naughty Dog, and I love Drake, so I was like, I'm gonna love this.
Slow down all of a sudden here.
So I was super excited, reserved it, and I picked it up at like 10 this morning. I've been playing it ever since. I start playing it, and I totally got sucked in by the acting and the cutscenes. They're just awesome. And actually, within the first 20 minutes, I almost cried.
Oh.
And I totally didn't believe that person, one of the producers or the creators of the game, were like, yeah, there's about 3 or 4 pinnacle moments in this game where you're gonna cry. And I'm like, dude, it's a video game. Like, why am I gonna care? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not one of those people who's played Final Fantasy and cried when Aerith died or whatever her name was. So I've never cried or really got that emotional during a video game. I've been like, all right, I'm digging this game, but never anything.
Wait, did
rivaling
you say that you did cry?
No, I'm not one of those people who's played Final Fantasy VII and like cried.
No, I'm saying that you did cry though in the game.
I know, I almost did. I had tears in my eyes, which is crazy, because I was like, what? How do I care this much? You're 20 minutes into the game. You should not care that much, but you did, and so that is admirable. That is so cool that a game made me do that. And I'm looking forward to the other parts that are going to make me cry. Although I'm getting towards the end of the game, not finished yet. Haven't touched multiplayer, so this is strictly a campaign, a 70% of the campaign first impressions. The graphics are awesome, the acting is awesome, the cutscenes are awesome. I mean, it's everything that I thought it was going to be. You do get past, there's a couple gripes I have, I will talk about them really quick. After you get past the intro where I did almost cry, it slows down dramatically, and you're like, whoa, that's kind of interesting, because it had such a, not necessarily explosive start, but it had a good start. You know, you were into it, you were vibing it, and then all of a sudden it kind of just throws you, and then it does like kind of a 20 years in the future thing, and then you're kind of like, yeah, this is weird. 20 years seems dramatic, because you see one of the characters, Joel, is the main guy that you play, and when it starts out, it's before the infection happens, and he looks kind of old, like maybe he's late 20s, if not for sure 30s. And then it is like 20 years in the future, and he has gray hair, but he doesn't look 50s, 60s, you know? Especially the way he's like knocking people out. I mean, he is like rough, tough, which is cool, because it's like, okay, he's 20 years of having to survive. Maybe he's just, a badass, which he is. He's hard, man. He's a hard guy. Which brings up one of my gripes. He's 50, 60-something years old, caving people's head in, knocking them around everywhere, KOing infected zombies, rabid dudes that are just running around. But when he pulls out his gun, he does not know how to shoot. And it's not me. I'm not the most accurate person, but I know my way around a shooter for sure. But what I mean is that combat is easy, it's swift. You just mash one button. It's not in depth at all, but that doesn't mean it's not cool. It's cool, it's snazzy and stuff. But oh my god, when he pulls out his gun, he's like, and that doesn't make sense. It's like you're KOing people, but you can't hold a gun straight. That doesn't make sense. He should be well-rounded with the gun as well. So it's incredibly hard to shoot things in the head, shoot things where it matters, because headshots are kind of the only thing that matter. When you shoot a human, it is pretty realistic in the fact that, like, if you shot someone in the chest, they're gonna like pretty much almost die.
Yep.
But when it comes to shooting zombies, you can't have your guy be going like this all the time. And I get that he doesn't have to hold it straight like a robot, but I mean, it's like, come on now, it's frustrating. So that really frustrated me.
Like this.
Yeah, he's not gonna be like the COD sniper scope thing. It's like they're directly in front of you, and he's like, So that was interesting.
Just go ahead.
I do think that the close quarters combat is sometimes horrendous, which really sucked me out of it. There's a couple things like that with the shooting and with the close quarters combat that just kind of pull you out of the experience. But when a cutscene happens, you get wrapped back up in it, and you're like, okay, this is an awesome game. I remember why I'm playing it. But man, when it gets to some scenarios, you're like, oh man, you almost feel like they don't know what they're doing, which is funny because it's a Naughty Dog game, and you've seen what they can do, which is Drakes and stuff, and you're like, they know what they're
different team.
They know what they're doing. Why no? But I mean, you know that company's a good company, and that they make games, so they're not messing around. But yeah, there's some. I have some gripes. I'm not fully through it. It's definitely. I mean, it's disappointing, but then not at some points. So I mean, I'm totally still in it. I do want to see if the last 30% to 40% whips my mind around. I feel like I've gotten past the breaking point where they've unleashed their whole bag of tricks. I'm sure there's a couple things that they probably are going to unleash. Different things. I mean, I can't imagine them not having anything. But I feel like I've gotten a just enough experience to judge it fully. And that is, I would like to see a sequel. Fix things for sure. It's a good game. It's great in some parts. But yeah, some things kind of pulled me out of it. Like the melee is what everyone's griping about online as well. And I didn't think I was going to be with everyone on that because I feel like a lot of people are just like, because I was fully stoked for this, fully. And I was like, there's nothing that I'm going to find disappointing about it. But there's certain enemies that it's like, it reminds me a lot of Silent Hill. Remember our gripes with Silent Hill where it's like, you're kind of, when you first play the game, you're like, ooh, I'm scared. Combat's kind of iffy. I don't want to get into it. So you're kind of like, I'm nervous. This is fun. It's actually scary. And it's like that, but then you get past the breaking point where you're like, shit does, like, eventually a thing is going to see you. And then you're like, God damn it, this combat is not strong enough on its own. Yeah. So you're like, I'm so annoyed. And the combat's not fluent enough. And there's enemies you can't punch, which makes sense. But it's like they're one-hit killers. So you'll be punching a thing that can be punched. And then that thing will come out of nowhere. And it's like, you're dead. You're dead. And then there's some things where it's like, there's only the one-hit KO'er. So you're like, okay, well, I cannot do any melee. And there's like, you can shiv certain things. They're called clickers. Those things kill you instantly. And they're really hard to, they can't see you, but somehow they get aware of you. I think it's noise, but I've crept by them not making any noise and they've came on me. I don't know. My best strategy with those is to just throw a bottle and get them all lured into one spot and then throw a Molotov cocktail, because if you try to, you cannot take them. I mean, if you shoot one, they're like, hey, he's over there. And they just mob on you and they're one-hit killers. So like I said, that was my strategy for the first. I was really, really angry because I didn't understand to get him all in one spot in Molotov cocktail, which I'm going to tell everyone, do that, because if you try to do what I did, I almost hated the game. I was like 40% through and I'm like, no, I don't like this anymore. I was really excited. And then there's like these sewer parts where you shoot one and they all come at you and then you're like, and your gun holds, you have a 6-shooter. Here's gripe number like 3. You have a 6-shooter. That makes sense. That would hold how many bullets, Steven? 6. You have not a 45, it's a 9mm. 9mm don't hold, I am experienced enough with guns. I mean, I'm sure out there is a 9mm gun that holds 6 rounds, probably. But it's in standard guns, standard pistols. 9mm guns hold like 15 to like anywhere from 12 to 15 bullets, if not like around 10, not 6. It holds 6. I'm like, why is a 9mm and a 6-shooter holding the same amount? And it's just aggravating because I feel like they didn't want you to have to be able to go bang, 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 you know, and just like waste people. But it pulls you out of it because it's trying to be kind of a realistic infection game, and it sucked me out of it. I'm like, that doesn't make sense, because I want to be able to not have 6, because the 6-shooter has 6 strong bullets and this one has 6 weak bullets. So, and reloading takes forever. There's another thing I wanted to touch on in there, but anyways, it's a good game. Don't buy it at this price as of yet. I haven't fully beat it and I haven't touched multiplayer, so it could have some longevity. I wouldn't necessarily say I don't ever want to play through it again, because I would totally play through a game like this again. It's got replay value like Drake's. It just doesn't have the combat there like Drake's. But I've only played the multiplayer, so I'm gonna say so far single player, excuse me. I've only played about 70% of it. So on that 70%, I'm gonna give it 7.5 infectious spores out of 10, because there's some things that kind of pull me out of it. But if I wanted to do a second rating, I'd probably give it a good 8, because it has really, it's in my opinion, it has really bad close quarters combat, but it has such good plot and cinematic value that I just have to even it at like 8. So it's not that it's a bad game, and I'm totally not necessarily regretting that I bought it, and I want to still dig into the multiplayer and beat the game and then give a full review. But until then, you heard it here, guys. Like, subscribe. It's a good game, and I'll keep you posted.
Toodles. Peace.